Making my way downtown, walking fast, faces pass. Hey, how about that? Should I apologize? How about I apologize to our European fans, because they also, not just for my singing, but, they actually had to adjust their bedtimes to watch this race, which the rest of the world is not, we were able to get away with that somehow. Only the Europeans ever complain. You ever notice that? It's like, hey, why is the race at this time? Why, it's because it's in Las Vegas, Nevada, in the United States. That's why. Be quiet. Anyway. But yeah, how about that? That was America. That was Las Vegas. A large black man driving a pink Lego Cadillac, taking the three winners to the podium, from pit lane or park for me to the thing. It was a wild weekend. What stays in Vegas, I guess? I don't know. All right, I'm rambling. Are you ready to go, son?
I'm ready to go.
Hello, welcome to Hard Compound, an American take on Formula One with your host, Brian Patrick. Patrick, it's now official. Lando, he's not champion, not yet. Lando and Oscar both disqualified. I mean, what a crazy weekend in Vegas. I need to get your analysis of this race, of everything that happened, of all the fallout.
Well, I gotta say, whatever the AI is telling McLaren on how to fuel their fucking car is wrong. So they need to take a step back and maybe have a little human oversight in that respect. Because, look, just put enough fuel in the car. I mean, Lando almost had to stop on the last lap just to get his car across the line, and he still didn't have enough fuel. So not a great look. And Max had an awesome weekend, awesome race, did enough to stay in contention in Brazil. And now, you get one of these weird things happening. Disqualification. Max pops back up in there. He's 24 points back. Let's say this happens one more time. Max is leading.
I know.
That's stupid. Red Bull is shit.
I mean, you're talking about AI. At this point, all of them seem to have just massive tech sponsors. There's Atlassian, there's Oracle, Google. So, yeah, that was not good. Both cars. And look at Lando, 390 points. Oscar, 366. Boom. That's why they're the constructors. But there's Max. My goodness. 366, tied with Oscar. As you said, 24 back. This should not be. This should not be. McLaren has 756 points. Red Bull 391, Max 366 of that, and he's still. It's not likely. I saw Jeffy Olsen on Twitter always kind of gives the summary, and so we have 2 races left plus a sprint, so that makes 29 points available maximum over each of the next 2 race weekends. But like you said, that's possible. I mean, Lando, he wins the Qatar, it's likely over. It might even be over. I haven't done the math, but it shouldn't. I mean, Max should not be here. You cannot let him take you to Game 7. This is just, I don't know what's going on here.
It's pretty unbelievable. I mean, I think it's clear that McLaren have been the best team, but they have not operated in the way that Mercedes or Red Bull did when they were obviously the best team. Because at no point was anybody else even close to securing a driver's championship when those two were at their peak. I mean, I shouldn't say that. I guess aside from 21 when Max, was battling Lewis the whole time. But those teams were much closer, much more competitive in that season. This, I kind of think, proves that Max might be the greatest driver of all time, 1. And 2, that maybe McLaren, or more specifically Lando and Oscar, just don't deserve it. At some point, right, you have the best team, the best car, and maybe you're not getting the best strategy calls. Maybe your team is kind of focusing on one driver more than the other, but I don't know. You got to go take it. I don't know what's happening. And obviously the disqualification totally totally hurts. Lando came P2 in this race. He should have only dropped, 7 points to Max, but instead it was 25. So that's not ideal. But even then, Max is still way too close. This should have been done and dusted weeks ago after Austin. It just seems completely unfathomable how this season has transpired and what it is coming down to the last 2 races, maybe the last race, to see who's going to win the Drivers' Championship. That's crazy. McLaren wrapped it up like 2 months ago.
Yeah. And back when, in the old turbo hybrid era, when Mercedes was just so completely dominant, the last couple months, last 6 races, they'd ease up, give a little charity. Let the other team get some points. Don't work too hard. We got this. There's something, and I don't think it's only Lando and Oscar that don't deserve this. From the beginning, the whole papaya rules thing was like, oh, we're not playing favorites. But it's turned into, well, it isn't simply an issue of you not playing favorites. It's sort of an issue of what's most important in F1. I'm sorry, I don't care if you're McLaren or Mercedes, especially even if you're Mercedes or Ferrari. What's most important is the driver championship. We remember Schumacher, we remember Hamilton, Max. That's what stands out. And it's like the papaya rules are sort of covered for, well, we're not going to focus on the driver's championship. Well, that's the most important thing. Like I said, Max is 366 points. He's less than half of what McLaren is with 2 weekends left. And he's still in this fight. No, he probably won't win. It's just, with just 2 races left, but I don't know what's going on. And Oscar Piastri's forgotten how to drive in the last month. I mean, he's qualifying a second, he's just so far behind Lando. And then, when we get this weird double disqualification, we're going to have to start generating new conspiracy theories here because it shouldn't be.
I mean, I don't know. Conspiracy theory number 1 is McLaren is just handing Oscar cash to just either they're fucking with his car or he's just being slow purposely. I don't know why you would do that, but maybe they don't expect Max to really put up enough of a fight to, catch up to Lando. I don't know what's happening. There's no reason for Oscar to have been clearly the better driver, clearly more dominant for 3/4 of the season. And then all of a sudden he is fucking P7.
Right.
That's stupid.
Right. I mean, we even discussed previously, this is a long grinding season. It just wrecks your body. You just, only Fernando Alonso seems to be able to handle this, for ages. But I'm still even skeptical of that. I mean, how has McLaren not yet won the Drivers' Championship? How is their second driver, Oscar Piastri, suddenly falling further behind? This is just weird. And I'm not sure we'll find this out. I do know Lando is not going to be sleeping for the next 3 weeks. Max will be in his dreams, at least for the next week. He's just going to be, Max will be in his nightmares, actually. And we'll figure this out. Let's real quick look at the team standings. So McLaren 756. It's now Mercedes, number 2, 431. Red Bull is third, 391. 366 of that is Max. Max could finish ahead of Ferrari. Ferrari is at 378. Max is at 366. That is shameful.
It is shameful.
That is shameful. And then Williams B5 at 121.
I mean, Ferrari was in second after Coda. It was 3 races ago. Now they're in 4th. And they don't look like they will finish the season anywhere other than 4th. That's shameful.
And I mean, like I said, this in Qatar, I'm not sure if last year, so the next race is Qatar, if that's where McLaren sewed it up. I think it was actually the very last race. Ferrari was right there.
Yeah.
And it's not like this is the first year of new regulations. And they got Lewis Hamilton. Let me ask you, should Lewis quit? I'm being serious. I mean, he's not looking good. He doesn't look like he's having fun. Ferrari gave him a boatload of money to be brand ambassador, and all he does is shit on the team. with good reason.
The team is bad. I don't know what the hell Ferrari's doing. I mean, it's not like Leclerc has really been so much more exceptional than Lewis has this season. He's been better, certainly. Looked more comfortable more of the time. But he's still, miles back of George in fourth place, I think.
Yeah, George is in fourth at 294 and Charles at 226.
So, that's like, ugh, Ferrari's just been bad. And if they're going to continue to be bad, if I'm Lewis, I get out of there as quickly as possible. But, if he does that, then yeah, it's sort of, you call it quits at that point. I don't think Lewis goes anywhere else. Unless for some crazy reason he stays through next year and Cadillac turns out to be fucking awesome. Then you go, you know what, Cadillac, just let Lewis come to the team,
Oh, that would be
something like that, right? But I'll say this. We'll do crazy predictions early today. I predict Kimi Antonelli, who's on a fucking hot streak, surpasses Lewis Hamilton in the driver's standings for sixth. And if that happens, Lewis will say, you know what? Nah, I'm done. This is stupid. I'm done with you, Ferrari.
Wow.
And ends it.
Wow. So Antonelli has 137 points. And he has been doing, he had a rough patch there.
2 podiums in a row.
Yep, but not 2 in a row. And looking better.
I think technically, right?
Right, yeah. So Hamilton is 152 and Antonelli at 137. That's 15, right? You could be right. I don't know. That's an indictment on Ferrari. You get Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah.
It's the final year of this regulation. It's not like, everybody's learning all these new cars. Yeah, both Williams drivers could finish in the top 10. Alonso should finish in top 10. And this Ferrari, I think, there's just two inexplicable stories this season. And one is how in God's name has Lando Norris not yet won the championship? And then the other is what's going on at Ferrari. Now, back at Mercedes, big news was Toto Wolff selling a portion of his stake in the team. He owns a third of it. He sold about, I'm not sure exactly how much, but I think he's now down to about 27, 28% of the team. And he sold, so about 6, 7% of it, I believe. Mercedes is now valued at about $6 billion. Ferrari is considered to be just a little bit more than that. Toto was part of the Williams team back in the early 2010s. Used the time there. Got a sweet deal at Mercedes. But even Mercedes, he bought it, for a song. And, we've been watching this long enough. Long enough. Not like the 1970s, which I have, but in the 2000s and the 2010s, you could buy basically sort of like, hey, will you assume the debt on the team? Okay, you will? All right, now it's yours. That was it. Now Mercedes is valued at $6 billion. That's more than 24 of the 30 NBA teams, according to Forbes. That's more than Liverpool and Barcelona soccer teams. It's more than Paris Saint-Germain, which I thought was a player. Apparently that's a team. And that's worth $4.6 billion. Mercedes, a Formula One team. No one saw this coming. This is what America does. America just sort of rains cash down on you if you hit it big here, So it was good timing for Toto to sell just before the Las Vegas Grand Prix. Although, not all good news for Toto. His nemesis is still out there, Christian Horner. Rumors earlier in the week were that Christian Horner was being considered for the Aston Martin team principal job for 2026. And people were saying, well, that's silly. They already have a team principal. Boom. Last night he was fired. Who was it? Andy Cowell? He was fired. Is Adrian Newey getting the band back together?
I don't know. But I did say earlier this season that I would not be surprised if Aston, Lawrence Stroll, made a move. He already had Newey. They were picking off Red Bull engineers. Max was not under contract at the time. But I was saying, look, Christian Horner goes to Aston. Maybe they lure Max to Aston. I think they have grand plans. I don't know if they'll work out, but I think there were plans that were sort of in motion, maybe not fully fledged yet. But I would not be surprised if Christian Horner goes to Aston. I mean, that seems like a reasonable job. I think Lawrence Stroll is the type of owner who is just do anything to get it done. And that's sort of the way Horner operates.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if that's a good fit for them. I don't know if it will be.
I agree. I take that. I mean, right now, Aston has 72 points. They're one behind Haas. Okay, they're 4 ahead of Sauber. You know, they should be doing better than that. They should be doing better. But they got Newey, they got Alonso, Stroll spending cash. I could see Horner doing that. I long predicted that Horner, because he wants to be a team owner, that he would only go back for a team where he had some ownership. So let's say buying a piece of Alpine or a 12th team. But maybe he's just so eager to get back, and maybe, Lawrence Stroll is just waving the cash. Like, I mean, what Newey got was unheard of. So maybe it's just insane money and he gets to run a team again. The best thing about that, though, is it's the Strolls, it's Alonso, it's Christian Horner. It's like everyone will hate that team.
The most hated team, for sure.
Exactly, which is awesome. That's what you want to be.
That's the Pistons bad boys right there.
Right, that's what you want to be, the Detroit Pistons bad boys type, where just everybody just hates them. It's like, yeah, too tough shit, we're winning, You don't like it,
that would be funny. Yeah.
Switching to the soft compound. Now, speaking of Christian Horner, he ran Red Bull. In my opinion, was the best team principal ever. He ran it for a couple decades. I love the team. I loved how Horner operated. He was always swinging the big dick. He was always just getting under everybody's skin. He was always winning, And when he wasn't winning, he was doing everything possible to win. Love that. Now, F1, if you're on their email list, will periodically send you an email saying, hey, you want to try and win free tickets to the next Grand Prix? Next Grand Prix is Las Vegas. I'm like, sure, I'll try and win free tickets. I did not win free tickets. All right. Long story short, I did not win free tickets to go to see the Las Vegas Grand Prix. But when they run these contests, they're like, oh, who's your favorite driver? I'll say, Alonso. Who's your favorite team? I'm like, oh, that would be wait. No, it isn't Red Bull. Not anymore. Not with Horner gone. Not with Jos Verstappen, taking care of his son. I know, but just being a little bit of a prick. Now with the owner dead, now HR taking over and they're all playing nice. I'm like, no, I'm not sure Red Bull's my favorite team anymore. But then I was thinking, wait, who is? Who is my favorite team? And as an American, you think, well, should it be Haas? Should it be Cadillac coming on board next year? I don't know, Patrick. How do you decide? Who's your favorite team? What would we tell somebody?
How do you decide what your favorite team is? I kind of don't know. I think the team has to make you excited about something, And there are some teams that do and some teams that don't. Excited or frustrated or, annoyed for some reason. I think that is part of being a fan of a team. And so I think that's maybe why Ferrari has such a big fan base. Is like, obviously they're an iconic team, but you always need something from them. And sometimes you get it. And when you do, that's a good day. And so, I don't know. I think you have to kind of decide what you're looking for and which teams can provide that. If you just want to see somebody win, then pick whoever the best team is. It's probably going to be, Mercedes. Maybe McLaren now is kind of in a stable place. So, one of those kinds of teams. If you're just looking for your national team kind of thing, well, right now, I do root for Haas. But I know for a fact that next season, my favorite team will be Cadillac. I will root for them more than any other team.
Same. even though they'll have the most dull driver pairing in the history of the sport with Valtteri Bottas and Sergio Perez.
Yeah, yeah. But sometimes, you can also choose a team based on the driver pairings. Well, like, look, you know, Albon and Sainz, that's a fun driver pairing right there. I'm going to be a fan of Williams. That seems cool too. So there's a lot of opportunities.
They're a historic team, but they have a lot less money, a lot less resources. They're scrappy. So that's a good idea. You could say, oh, Red Bull, isn't that the team that has the top strategist who's a woman? Oh, I kind of like that. Or, hey, McLaren and Mercedes do a great job of getting in the big American celebrities. Oh, I like that, And then, as you point out, there's the nationality part. I mean, Ferrari, it's the Italian team. I mean, but you got to be careful with Ferrari because Ferrari is the destroyer of souls. They're actively destroying Lewis Hamilton's soul. Clearly, they've done this to Charles. They did it to Seb. I mean, they've done it to everybody. It seems like, so you want to be careful there. Alpine, Renault just been so poorly run for so long, but it's the French team. It's got Pierre Gasly. I mean, that's, like you said, Haas, semi-American. Next year, Cadillac would be American. But you saw Red Bull. Max is there. Red Bull, the company, does a lot of fun events. They've got, let's see, they'll have Ford. So that's there's an American connection there.
Yeah, and then you even have Audi coming in next year, right? With the Sauber team kind of takeover. So that could be fun. Or if you just like to annoy people, like we were saying, the hateful team, Aston Martin, you could just
Right.
you could just be a fan of Aston, and then everybody would come around and say, "Hey, F you for being a fan of Aston." That's Stroll's team, Yeah,
Right.
but I
It's like,
got a
let's have-
reaction out of you, so that's kind
Exactly.
of fun.
I mean, can you imagine, let's say Christian Horner joins. They'll have Christian Horner, they'll have Alonso, they'll have the Strolls running the team, and he's hanging out with all the sheiks in Saudi Arabia. I mean, it's like everyone will hate that team, and that's a good. I mean, hey, if you want to be the guy that likes that team or the girl, that's a good possibility. Dirty air. Talk about some rumors. Talk about some technical issues inside the sport. I think it was a week or two ago they floated the idea of making Monaco 2 pit stops mandatory. What do you think of that, Patrick?
Yeah, I think that's kind of goofy. I'm not sure that necessarily helps the racing. I don't know. I think the point is the only reason I would say I would like the idea of a mandatory 2 pit stop race, and I think they floated it for the upcoming Qatar race, is that it sort of allows the race to be more like a sprint race where drivers aren't necessarily holding onto their tires, managing their pace in order to sort of extend the life and ensure, oh, I can pit into this gap and not have to worry about passing somebody on track. I can just sort of, manage everything and it'll be fine. Like we sometimes get in these races with like typically freshly paved surfaces that don't really degrade the tire as much, especially if the weather is cooler, the tires last longer, that kind of thing. Vegas was a little bit like that. Tires lasted a long time.
Yeah, I think Danilo was on like 48 laps.
Yeah, because he pit on the second lap, I think,
Right.
and then just ran the rest of the race. And he still had obviously good pace at the end of the race. He held off Oscar and Leclerc for like 10 laps or something like that. So the reason I would, making a mandatory 2 pit stops is a little bit of a fun idea is just because it sort of forces drivers to speed up, just like go for it all the time, which can obviously be fun. Can cause issues as well, right? Like if you're pushing every single lap, sometimes you can go a little bit overboard, maybe end up in the wall, crash into somebody else. I don't know, do something. But that can be fun. I just don't necessarily like the idea of forcing strategy upon teams, right?
Right.
I think they should be able to make that decision. I think it's easy to focus on just push, 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 rather than, okay, I have somebody right behind me, but I still need to manage my tires, or I'm in dirty air. I need to make sure that, I'm pushing, I can get around this person, or I need to pull back a little bit. I think there's a lot of additional effort that goes into that maybe is not necessarily as fun to watch, but I find that more interesting, I think.
I think without even trying, you may have talked me into it because people complain, like Kimmy. He was on his tires for 48 laps. But as you were saying, it's like, well, the cars are so good now. The drivers are so good. There's a number of street courses where they could be freshly paved, like it was cool in Las Vegas at night. You can complain about Pirelli, the tire manufacturer, but at some point it's like, look, well, these are the compounds. I mean, we can artificially make them degrade. We can have them last 10 laps, but that's almost just as gimmicky, I think. So maybe the 2 pit stops, maybe that's a good workaround. I don't know. So now another big rumor is Yuki will be out and he might go to Indy. What do you think?
I think if Yuki ends up in Indy, that would make Indy more fun. Right now, I'm not sure that he's necessarily cut out for F1. Maybe he is. I think last year he kind of proved in the Racing Bulls that he was a pretty solid driver. Like, he did pretty well. This Red Bull car, for whatever reason, is not easy for anybody except for Max Verstappen to drive. And nobody can seem to get really any reasonable pace out of it. So, I think his time at Red Bull is done, should be done. They've run their course, If another team believes that Yuki is competent enough and mature enough at this point in his career to help them, then that's good, keep him in F1. But I think the best course of action for him is to go to Indy. I think that would be fun. I think him driving an Indy car would be fun to see.
It would.
Because I think he's fun. He's a little chaotic, but this season at Red Bull, he's been totally lost, which I think is kind of not interesting to people anymore.
Yeah. Well, even Sergio Perez, who's coming back with Cadillac next year, they let him go. Red Bull let him go at the end of last year. He's now suggesting, the team has regrets for letting him go. Maybe, but he didn't get it done. But Yuki's not getting it done either. He's been in the sport for many years now. It seems hard to justify keeping, let's say, for example, Hadjar at Racing Bulls when you could just promote him and have him be Max's teammate next year. And it also seems hard to take Yuki out of the Red Bull, put him back into Racing Bulls when Red Bull has a solid, young lineup. They keep Liam in one of the seats. It might not be fair. As you said, no one seems to be able to drive that Red Bull except for Max Verstappen. Helmut Marko with the team is, I think, at least twice, maybe more, after at least 2 races, apologized to Yuki, like, we let you down. Maybe, but again, he's not getting it done. So now, you were on the other side of the world during the Brazil race. Apparently couldn't pick up a phone and record the podcast for Brazil. I won't hold that against you, although my OCD will. Just before that race, since this segment's all about rumors, I want to start one. Charles proposed to his girlfriend. I gotta say, I don't think it's gonna last. I mean, I hate to be that guy. I'm like, look, I know she's pretty, but you're Charles Leclerc. You're a handsome F1 driver. You drive for Ferrari. You live in Monaco. So having an attractive young gal is not going to be difficult for you, And she pulled the old trick of, we'll get a dog. See, it's almost like we have a child. It's like we're a family. See, we have a dog together. I'm like, come on. I don't know. I don't think that's going to work out. Which makes me feel bad for Charles, because I'm like, look, Ferrari's already sucking away his soul,
I don't know. I wish them nothing but the best.
Same here. Just starting a rumor. Because that's more fun.
Rumors are there's already difficulties forming in Charles III's relationship with his fiance.
My title. Oh, because it was Brazil, so old man like me is gonna think like the song "The Girl from Ipanema," and I was thinking "The Car from Maranello." That was gonna be the title, "The Car from Maranello." That's a good
It's a good
Brazil
title.
podcast title.
I'm not sure anybody would get it, but yeah.
Right. If you have to explain it, it's sort of not good. Across the line. That's our segment where we predict the top 5 for the next race. The next race is in just 1 week, all the way across the world, practically, in Qatar. I think they say Qatar now, but I say Qatar. Last year, guess who won? Max Verstappen. Lando came in 10th, but that was the race. Lewis got a penalty. There was multiple red flags, multiple safety cars. It was the race where we were saying, what the hell are the stewards doing? There was like stuff on the track, and they weren't calling a safety car. They were just running it. Max, I think, had a yellow flag violation. I don't remember all the details other than us just sort of being outraged that the track director and the folks on the track just seemed to not care or just not be available. They were doing something else. I don't know. Maybe they were on their phones. Oh, wait, here, I wrote this down. Here's what we said last year. You got to wonder, what was the deal with not calling a safety car, or at least a virtual safety for minutes? What was going on? That's embarrassing, unsafe. And then we discussed how Lando's penalty was deserved under normal circumstances, but it appeared track control in Qatar was sleeping on the job, so we took issue with it. Nonetheless, Max won it. Lando came in 10th. That happens again next week. Oof. It comes down to the final race.
Because there's a sprint next week too, right?
Yes, there is. Yep, a sprint.
So if that happens in a race and Max happens to win the sprint, let's say Lando comes in second, that's 25 points that Max makes up, right? Which is, he would be leading.
Let's see, hold on. He's down by 24?
Points down right now.
He's 24. He could win, 8 in the sprint? But let's say Lando got 7. So that doesn't help.
1. But then 25 for first and 1 for 10th. That's 25 total difference.
Yeah. Oh, wouldn't that be
I don't know. It's just remarkable that he is as close as he is. And let's not forget, Oscar is also just 24 points back. He has not looked good for many weeks now, but 24 points is doable over the course of 2 races and a sprint.
And let's also not forget that these bogus papaya rolls the whole time saying, oh, no, we don't have a favorite driver. We're not going to favor one driver over the other, even though we all knew they were favoring Lando every single time. So they can't ask Oscar to do what you should ask your number 2 driver to do, which is fucking take Max out. I mean, yes. Remember all those years, Mercedes was just crushing the competition. Lewis was just cruising to championships. But it started to get a little close in those last few years. Like, hey, Valtteri, you got a job to do, and that's coming second. And if someone gets near Lewis, you got to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
They can't ask that of Oscar. It should be in Qatar. Oh shit, Max is getting close. We got to do something. Hey, Oscar, we need you to take one for the team. But at this point, Oscar should say, "F you."
I agree.
They've really got themselves in a bind here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's a weird situation there at McLaren, and it is going to be difficult the next few race weekends to make sure they check both boxes, the constructors and the drivers' championship.
Yeah.
I don't know if they will. They should, but I don't know.
When you're damn near double the number 2 team, you have to win both. They should have won both, like you said, in Texas, in America a month ago. Shameful. Anyway, so across the line, that's where we predict the top 5 for the next race. The next race is in Qatar. If we get a driver in the top 5, we get a point. If we get him in the exact right spot, we get 3 points. So, if, for example, I predict Max cut on P2, and he comes in P2, I get 3 points. If I predict Lando comes in P1, but he comes in P4, I get 1 point. Okay, so Patrick, what are the current standings of Across the Line?
Yeah, so we obviously did not do predictions for Vegas, but we should catch up on our predictions for the Brazil race. So going into that race, our scores were 71 for me, 64 for you. And top 5 in Brazil was Norris, Antonelli, Verstappen, Russell, Piastri. Your predictions for that race were Piastri, Russell, Hamilton, Alonso, Hülkenberg. So 1 point each for Piastri and Russell, both in the top 5, but not in the positions you selected. My top 5 was Verstappen, Norris, Leclerc, Antonelli, Sainz. So I got 1 point each for Verstappen, Norris, and Antonelli, all in the top 5, not in the position I selected. So that means going into the last 2 races of the season, I am sitting on 74 points to your 66. 8 points.
It's going to be tough.
It's big, but it's not too much. It's like the 24-point gap that Lando has right now.
I got to get a couple drivers in the exact right spot. Okay, who goes first?
You have first pick.
Oh, I'm going Max. Max's money. We're going to do Max.
Max's money. Dang. Alrighty. Then I'm going to go for the guy who needs it most, Lando, P1. Then I'm going to take the hottest driver, Antonelli.
Oh, I wanted Antonelli. Dang. All right, then I'm going to go, sort of like Vegas, it was Lando, Max, George. I'm going to go with George Russell, Kimmy's teammate. And then, has Lewis been on the podium at all this year? Shit, I don't think he has.
He hasn't had the podium.
I don't think Lewis has been on the podium at all in 2020. I know, you think he must have. All right, I'm going Lewis Hamilton.
All right.
He's got too much pride, even though he's on that Ferrari.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's good. Then I am going to take Leclerc, Hamilton's teammate, and then Oscar, because he's got to pick up the pace a little bit here. He do. All right, then we were bad-mouthing Yuki. Somehow I'm going to get Yuki in there in P4. Nice.
And let's see, who else? I'm going to go Carlos Sainz.
Dang it, I wanted Carlos. And I am going to take my favorite driver this season, Ollie Behrman.
He has been doing very well. I think he lost out against his teammate Ocon this race, but he's been doing so well. Okay, so you have Lando, Kimi, Charles, Oscar, and Ollie Behrman. I have Max, George Russell, Lewis Hamilton, Yuki Tsunoda, and Carlos Sainz. Any crazy predictions, Patrick?
Well, we talked a little bit about the valuation of the Mercedes F1 team and how F1 has really just exploded in the last 5, especially 10 years, really. Haas, I think in the article you were referring to, they mentioned Haas was worth like $1.5 billion, which is pretty remarkable because Haas is small.
Yep. Oh, historically underfunded
Small operation.
Gunther Steiner was always hustling just to get Russian oil interests to invest a little bit. Remember those days?
Yeah. So my crazy prediction is that by 2035, so just 10 years from now, half of the grid will be worth over $10 billion. And all of the grid will be worth over the $6 billion that Mercedes is currently valued at.
Wow. Very good. Very good. I mean, what a time to be an investor in an F1, in F1 and the team.
If that happens, what was it? It was like $1.5 billion or $2 billion that Cadillac had to pony up for their spot as the 11th team. If that happens, that means Cadillac would be, that's 300% at least in 10 years.
Well, and you look at, it seems like the influencer economy is only getting bigger. They're going 24 races all around the world. So they have the grid walk, they got the cameras, they got the foreign media, they got the home media. Every race, it's a big circus. Everybody watches. So you're going to have every star, every celebrity. I want to be there. I'm going to show up, every influencer. I mean, it's just the valuations of the sport, of the teams, and then just sort of everything connected to that. It's going to be amazing. That's a good one. I don't have such a good one. My crazy prediction is that Fred Vasseur, the Ferrari team principal, is fired before the end of the season.
Oof.
So this is not unheard of because just this week, just last night, Aston got rid of theirs, right? I mean, and look at what Ferrari's doing. And Vasseur brought on Lewis. Look at what this team is doing. Look at what Lewis is doing. I mean, it just, and you could say, well, it's not his fault. I don't know whose fault it is, but Ferrari is shit, okay? And it should not be. So that is my prediction. Fred is out.
Dang.
I know, before Saudi Arabia. All right. I want to thank you all for listening to everybody's most beloved father and son F1 podcast. It is much appreciated, and we are lights out.
See ya. Thanks for listening.
You just finished listening to Hard Compound, recorded in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and around the world.